Right, now that spring is here, it's a perfect time to get the kids out and play at the playground or park, but to make sure you're getting your best out of it and not a trip to the emergency room, you got to be careful and take some precaution. Attorney Chris Jacobs from Kalfus Nachman is here with some park safety tips. Chris, welcome back to the Hampton Road Show. Okay, when you go to the park, there's jungle gyms, there's monkey bars. Those monkey bars have sent so many kids to the emergency room. What other things do people need to be careful about when they go to the park?
Well, first of all, don't let your child climb more than twice your child's height.
Okay.
That's a good rule of thumb. You have a 4-year-old, don't let your child who's 3 feet tall, don't let your child climb up 6 feet or more, because that could be very dangerous if the child falls. The monkey bars you're talking about, look at the surfaces underneath. Make sure it's a softer surface, the depth of the surface, such as sand. Not a hard packed sand, but make sure there's a few inches, so it's a softer surface, not concrete, obviously, and things like that.
Also, the swings are something to be careful about too. Kids love to go as high as they can, but like you said, the higher you go, maybe there's more trouble.
Absolutely, and then there's also, look at the swing itself. Is it, in our age group, we probably had the hard bottom swing,
right? And
then it changed over. Now it's a soft bottom swing, so it conforms around the child's behind, and make sure one child at a time. Look for pinch points on the chains, if there's a chain. Most swings, such as my playground set at home for my 4-year-old, it has a coating over top of the chain, so it can't have any pinch points or separations in the chain, and look for the S's that connect it and things like that.
Now, if there's wood out there, some things to worry about are splinters. Not just that, but every park has benches and tables. You got to be careful with them too.
A lot of parks actually have the concrete tables. They withstand weather very well, but also they can get dislodged. Kids like to climb on everything. And you have to supervise your child too. But if your child's climbing on one of these cement tables, the table could topple over. You need to make sure that these tables are secured before your child climbs on top of it. And if it does topple over, make sure you talk to the owner or the operator of the park, or whether it's an apartment complex or a city park, and write a letter or talk to them and notify them of the defect.
And parents should also be aware of some of the people that are at these city parks. Sometimes they attract seedy characters.
My rule of thumb is when you take your child to the park, if I take my child to the park at least, I look at it like driving. My focus is solely on my child. I want to make sure she's not climbing above her twice her height. And if there's some people who shouldn't be at the park, in other words, your children should play with other kids of the same age and group. And so you may have a teenager there. That may not be appropriate to play with 4-year-olds, or in the alternative, you may have some other adults hanging around the park that probably aren't meant to be there.
Being an attorney with Kalfus Nachman, what kind of legal recourse have people had, and what have you seen dealing with park safety?
Well, we've seen issues of tables toppling over, of equipment that's not properly maintained. First of all, it's for you and your community. And so if the equipment is not properly maintained, notify the people who operate the equipment. Once they're on notice, they have an obligation to warn people of the hazard. If there's a subsequent hazard or a casualty from that, then there's legal recourse, and people can be held responsible for that.
All right, Chris, great advice. These emergency rooms, they see so many kids breaking their wrist, falling off the monkey bars. Be careful when you're out there. If you have any more questions for Chris Jacobs, you can contact him at Kalfus Nachman at legalmatters.kalfusnachman.com, or give him a call on the Hurt line at 1-800-HURT-LINE, and download the Kalfus Nachman iPhone app. You never know when you will need it. Chris Jacobs, as always, thanks for the advice.